All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Toddcast. We've got a special edition episode. Woo-hoo! We've got Ninja Ra. My mate, Ra Newcombe, is in the house. Ra, what's going on, my man?
Hey, guys.
How are you?
Nice to see you, Toddy. Congratulations on the space as well.
Oh,
I have
thank you.
to say, anyone that sells their family pet to buy all the equipment in here is definitely my kind of guy.
No pets were harmed in the making of this. But we're in the studio today, and I thought, what better way on a Friday night to kick off with a game of Flip Cup. My favourite Ra is loose and competitive Ra. So I thought no better way to get loose and competitive Ra than a game of Flip Cup. So we've got 3 beers here. We're not obviously going to smash all those. We're going to do one in a game of Flip Cup. So Ra, I reckon we go with the Trailblazer Aussie Lager by Two Birds.
Sounds good, my friend. Sounds good.
So what we'll do, evenly disperse that throughout your 4 cups.
And can I say, just before we get started, Todd, you've got Zen Ra at the moment. So to get loose or competitive Ra is going to take a little bit, but I'll try and do my best.
I reckon if we go to that line, the first line, what do you reckon?
Yep. Sounds good. Just check there's not too much froth in the bottom of that one, mate. I want to make sure there's liquid.
We got loose Ra. Loose Ra's coming. I can feel it. It's my favourite type of Ra.
There's a few Ras out there. So Todd, what inspired you to buy these specific beers, mate? Are you a bit of an Aussie lager kind of guy yourself normally?
Oh, Ra, thank you very much for noticing. I did make an effort for you. You're a Northside snob, so I like VB myself. Turbo, he'll be watching this right now. He'll be rolling around in his chair. We're all good. Have you got any left?
Yes.
I may as well scull that. May as well. Cheers, big fella. Oh, that's actually not bad. You don't like that?
No, it's good. I have to say, though, I've sort of gone through the whole craft beer thing, and now I'm going for the $10 6-pack of low-carb beers from Audi, mate. So
Which ones?
I've sort of gone the whole dad's direction, and I think it's not pure blonde, it's called blonde something, and it's $10 a 6-pack. So I'm on you know the lagers that
the blonde Germans.
Yeah, you know the ones that the beers that your dad used to have back in the fridge, and even when you were thinking
Dad
about
just drank
stealing
Crown
beers,
Lagers. He just drank.
Gee, that's posh.
Yeah, it's my old man. You know what he's like.
Wow, fancy. So thank you very much, Todd. I appreciate you going over and above with the hipster beers for me.
I'll just try my best for you, mate. So you know the rules of Flip Cup. We've got 4 cups. They all got about a quarter beer into them. You get one, scull one, then you got to flip it on its top. And once you do that, then you move on to the next beer and the next beer. And obviously the whole aim of the game is to get through them, right?
Yep. So it's got to flip onto the top. So can you just give me one example with how it will flip, maybe in slow motion before we get started? Just so
No. We dive straight into it. We dive straight into it.
All right. Okay,
that took us long enough, all right? So get them where you're comfy. I think I'm going to move mine over a bit. So I've got a little workbench.
A little bit and low in liquid there, Toddy. But
mate, they're all up to the line. They're all up to the line. Come on, mate. Come on. When the tide's settled, they're all the same.
Okay.
So I reckon we just kick it off with a cheers, and then
action.
Is there? Or should we put something on the line here?
Oh, I'll tell you what. If you win, you can wear my bandana for the rest of the show.
Nah, I'm too sweaty, bro. I don't want to wreck your bandana, bro. We'll work something out, but here we go. Cheers. And it's on. Oh! Oh, no. Uh-oh. This is riveting podcast.
Yes. Do I go to the next one, Toddy?
Yeah, you just go. You work away as fast as you can. Bang.
Boom.
Let's go. Oh, fuck.
Those hipster beers aren't for sculling.
Other way.
Oh, that way?
Yeah, no, other way, that way. Come on. 2-2. Oh. No.
These third cups are... Hey!
Oh, bang, he's got it. No, he's on the last one. I'm going to get it. Come on.
Oh, you're in trouble, bro.
Oh!
Yeah! Yes, Toddski. Not for the first time you've lost to RAA. I reckon I've got you covered, my man.
You can't not.
Can I take
Get a DNF.
Can I take your seat while you finish?
You can, mate. You can't get a DNF though. I'm not going out in a DNF.
Look, and since you are definitely going to come second, I am cheering you on, mate.
Thanks, mate. Come on.
May the force be with you.
Oh, jeez. The host is not meant to lose.
What I'd do, Todd, is I'd flick up so that it sort of spins and then lands that way, my man.
I'm done. I'm done.
Good game, Toddy. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks. Lots of
Congratulations to the winner.
No worries. Standard.
Now, I think we should get into the podcast. We'll it's probably not going to be riveting viewing, so we'll do a quick little cut. We'll get into the seats and we'll get ready, but that was brought to you by Dan Murphy's. Dan Murphy's, if you want to sponsor the podcast.
Wow, hey.
If you want to sponsor the podcast, just throw us some cash. Or anyone else out there who wants to sponsor the podcast, maybe we can do something with your business. But we'll get cracking into the podcast.
Joe Rogan.
Before a podcast, say how many times can you say Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan. Well, welcome back, guys. We got Newcombe on board. And if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or Whooshka, and Stitcher. I've got one Stitcher listener.
Ooh.
And I know who that is. She said, can you please put it on Stitcher? So I did an effort to put it on Stitcher.
Is that your mum, Todd?
No, it's not. It's actually Turbo's missus. Shout out to Linda, if you're listening on Stitcher.
And Todd's mum.
And my mum. Shout out to my mum. My mum's a Stitcher. She's a Stitcher kind of.
She's a legend.
She's a Stitcher kind of lady. But if you are listening to the podcast and you wanted to see the start of the podcast, Ra and I played a game of Flip Cup. Some good viewing. We won't tell you who won. You're gonna have to watch it. But if you are watching this on YouTube, you're probably going, stop talking about something that I just watched. So we're gonna get right into it. Now, I thought I'd bring some beers in. We kind of talked about them before, but as a guest, Ra, you can choose which one we go first. We got the Kaiju beer, the main squeeze, Passion Guava Session Ale.
Well,
sorry, mate. Oh, we got the Feral Brewing Co. the Biggie Juice.
Well, considering you're one of my main squeezes, let's go with the old green and pink, just for everyone at home as well.
Open this up close to the mic. Let's get a little bit of sound effects in here. Oh, how good was that?
For 6 a.m. in the morning, this is not what I normally do.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on to the podcast, Ryan Newcombe.
No worries, my man.
Oh, that's not bad.
I like that.
I can really taste the passion fruit in that.
It definitely tastes like a melted, what do you call them? What are those long icy poly things that you have at the pool? What are they called? Super duper. Calippo.
No, a super duper is in the clear plastic. The Calippo's in the cardboard.
Yeah, Calippos are like.
Yeah, Calippo. They're tropical.
They're pimping ice blocks, aren't they? Super duper is where your mum wants to keep you quiet at home, and she's just giving
That's
you
the cheap one. She got it from Franklin's.
Yeah, actually
Remember Franklin's? But yeah. No, thanks for coming in, Ra. It's been an absolute pleasure. I was really excited to get you on board. There's a couple of things that I wanted to discuss, and I think one of them was being a dad for the first time not long ago.
Yep.
And bringing Tilly into the world.
Yep.
Mate, tell me all about it.
Will do. So, firstly, thanks, Todd, for having me on. Look, I have always, I guess, worked with children. So I used to work with children with special needs when I was younger. My mum was a single mother as well. So I was heavily involved with bringing up my little brother. So it was one of those things that I naturally knew that I always wanted to be a dad. But it never really prepares you for what you're actually going to go through with having a wife that's pregnant and also just the responsibility of having to actually grow up and no longer having as much time for yourself when you're always thinking about someone else. So it's been quite the adventure. My daughter's 17 months at the moment, going on 18 months. And really, it's just a learning curve every day, just around what you can do to be a better father. And that's basically what I've dedicated everything that I'm doing right now in my life around. So that's a really, really important thing for me as well.
So Tilly's 18 months old, but obviously it starts 9 months before that.
It does.
So, 26 months ago, when you first found out.
Yes.
Take me back to that. Like, what was that like? Was Jess at home? Were you at home? Or like, I don't know. How did that happen?
Yeah. So good question. So unlike the TV shows that you see like Knocked Up, sometimes it doesn't happen straight away, so it does take a little bit of time. So
legs in the air when you finish.
It can be fun, but it can also be one of those things that takes time and can be quite stressful. So when we first found out, really what happens is that you don't go and knock down everyone's door and say, hey, we're having a baby just in case there's complications, which is really, really common, but people don't really talk about. So, once we knew that we were sort of in the safe zone there, we just...
When's that? That's about six weeks for those playing at home if you have any kids.
12 weeks.
12 weeks?
Yeah,
that's your first test where you kind of know?
That's when... So before, but that's when you're sort of out of, I guess, the real danger zone as well. So, and that's a brand new experience. Obviously, you have a lot of family and friends. We've been together for 16 years now. So, the parents and the grandparents are all sitting there watching their phones for the last 10 years, wanting to know when we're going to have a child. So when it all happens, everyone's really, I guess, positive and excited about it. Then you just start the journey of going to baby bunting every third day and being asked questions around what's on the internet and what blankets you're going to be buying and what nappies you're going to be using. So that's its own journey itself as well.
Baby bunting journeys. If you got one tip for baby bunting to make it more dad friendly, what would it be?
Well, look, I was very, very happy when I realized they have toilets in there as well. So what I would suggest is doing your research first, and then just basically trying to run to those aisles to pick up whatever you can and getting out there as fast as possible.
Just in and out, no messing around.
Well, do you think Baby Bunting might sponsor this show now that we've discussed them on air? Is that a possibility?
I bloody hope so. Anyone that wants to throw money at the Toddcast, I don't think drinking beers and talking about things is probably their target audience. But the thing is, though, uncapped market, dads. Like a lot of dads listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
They write in all the time. I get letters to the PO box, and they tell me all the time. They're like, Todd, tell us more about kids. So the thing is, my age group, or our age group, obviously, is I've got a lot of mates starting to have kids, and I guess it's great that to sit down and get these little nuggets of insight. And there's probably blokes listening in that's gonna say, that happened to me, or whatever the case is. But
yeah. Well, look, I think just to go back, I sort of touched base on it, but having a mum that was a single parent as well, and having a little brother, I sort of definitely was brought up with a maternal side as well. So looking after babies and stuff like that. So that sort of stuff's come pretty naturally. And I guess sort of my actual career, my wife and I moved to London, I think it was in 2008. And we had this amazing adventure where we were traveling through South America, and we both were with children before we got to Rio Carnival.
Okay.
And we met this amazing girl/woman who lived in London. So we went and visited her and ended up developing this relationship with her. She actually was a nanny for a very, very, very wealthy family.
Okay.
And because of our experience and sort of one thing led to another, we ended up working for this family. So what that meant was we'd live in Monaco for 2 to 3 months of the year.
Yeah.
We'd fly private jet.
And how old are the kids that you're looking after?
So at that time they were 2 and 4 off the top of my head. So it was a little while ago. So quite the experience and just seeing a different side to London and the world that growing up in Canberra, I'd never really seen anything like that before was an amazing experience. And being able to work and alongside kids as well was something that was really eye-opening and amazing for us.
Well, I don't think many people would have seen that kind of wealth. Like you're talking Monaco wealth, London wealth.
Yeah.
Like I know you can't say who it is, but like, what did this family do? Like, how do they so rich?
Yeah. So look, I definitely can't go into too much details around them and their privacy, for privacy issues. Sorry. They had I guess they were working in media. Every kind of different industry they sort of worked in and were well known in as well. And it was just one of those things that we just had. One thing led to another, and then like I said, we
so proper
flying around in private jets and doing all those.
Yeah, so things. I was going to say proper 1% like wealth.
Yes.
You have told me stories before about the teak deck on the boat.
Yes.
What was something that was just like you're like, come on, this is too much. Like, was it outlandish? Like,
look. I guess probably some of the things that we sort of were a bit amazed with was just generally we stayed at a beautiful hotel in Monaco, which was definitely on the higher end of hotel rooms in the world, and would be there for about 2 months. So you could just imagine what that bill was looking like.
2 months straight.
Yeah. So, and things like going out and purchasing ice cream with a €500 note was quite an adventure as well. So those sorts of things.
Keep the change, or
No, of course not, bro. I definitely gave back the 497 euros that were the change there as well.
€500 note.
Yeah. So
That's what, like $800.
yeah,
800
so.
Aussie, something like that.
Yeah. So that was all interesting, and I think those sorts of things really also made me realize what kind of a parent I want to be as well.
Okay.
And
what did that make you realize? What was that?
look, I just think that being a good role model, making sure that I'm spending quality time with my children, having a really good connection there as well, is definitely something that.
So obviously you were looking after them. You were the nanny. So like the
I prefer Manny.
Manny.
Yeah.
You were the Manny.
Yeah, Manny.
You're not Maltese, mate. That's a Maltese name, Manny.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Manny. Yeah, kind of indie. But so obviously you took away from that you want to spend more quality time with your kids because they were away. How often? Like how many hours of the day would they actually spend with their kids or? Parenting.
Look, there was as parents, they did spend a lot of time with their children,
Yeah.
but just more about enjoying the company and sort of playing a role model. So I guess it probably wasn't so much the distance of the family that we're working with their children, because that was never an issue, but probably more around what I wanted to do as well, in terms of just realizing, hey, whether you are a nanny in Australia or in Monaco, or you're working in childcare, whatever it is, there's obviously a connection, and you realize that, hey, you are teaching little people new skills, whether it's social, whether it's sporting skills, whatever it is. But you do play a really integral part in that role. So it is definitely something that I was like, wow, well, you are the main role model in someone's life. So it's just about what you can do to
still in touch with those kids?
So we still talk to the mum. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she's absolutely lovely and does an amazing job, and she's really, really creative herself.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where we can sort of keep in contact through different social media platforms as well, which is really nice, and good to see the kids grow up as well, because obviously spending, I think it was 2 to 3 years hands on deck working as nanny and Manny, you definitely become attached to the family.
So tell me, getting back to, we've gone to baby bunting, you found out that Jess is pregnant, right? We're at like the halfway point of the pregnancy or whatever. What was life like then? What was pregnant life like?
Yes, good question. So the first trimester tends to be a lot of vomiting on my wife's behalf. So she was quite sick for the first trimester. So when you get past that, it ends up being a little bit easier.
Yep.
But it is just a hard slog for your wife or whoever is pregnant.
Yeah.
Just for the reason that things are moving a little slower. There's hormones bouncing around like a ping pong machine or ping pong game or whatever it is.
Watch your step wherever you go.
It is, yeah. So that's something that definitely was a great experience, and just being really excited because you can start to see your wife's stomach, and I think around that time you're starting to feel the baby kick. So they're pretty amazing things when you really break them down, and you can be around people that are pregnant, but until it's your baby inside your wife's stomach, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, it'd be next level, like absolutely next level. And then so we get closer to like let's fast forward like 38.
Sure.
How many weeks did Jess was pregnant for?
So that would be 9 times 4, which would be.
Come on, mate.
Come
on, mate. 9 fours. Let's go. What's 10 fours? 40. So it's 36, right?
Yeah, that's
Come on, mate.
Well, I was going to say that, but I was under pressure. So fast forward when we get close to the actual
40
birth.
weeks. Yeah.
And look, I do remember this, and not calling out anyone, but I do, and this isn't you, Todd, either. It's funny
good.
because you have people that have been dads before, and basically they walk in or they tell you this story, and it's usually around the water cooler, like, "Oh my, good luck, mate," or "Oh mate, all the best for that. Oh, and then they're shaking their head like the worst thing's ever happened. So to be honest with you, I probably was probably in the frame of mind of like, oh yeah, look, I'm just here, whatever.
Yeah.
And my wife was basically decided that we were going to go to some calming birth classes. Okay, so I was like, I don't know about this.
Okay,
like,
tell me more.
What's this all about? So anyway, we go along to this session, and we're all sitting on the floor, of course. And in my brain, I'm thinking about the guy that's talking to me at the water cooler, saying, "Oh, mate, this is gonna be horrific," you know, all these sorts of things. And I sit down on the floor, and they've got lollies, and there's incense burning, and I basically
hang on. Before you go to the incense burning lollies, it sounds like it's right up your alley. I know you, right? I know you. You like that.
Well, I was going to go into the downward dog position, but I decided it's probably best to just keep my ears open, opposed to pulling out the yoga mat. So as we're there and about to go, I start to be like, oh, how long is this going to take? Talking out aloud to Jess. And Jess pulls me up. And if you know my wife, she's not normally someone that will be super direct. And she was very direct with me. And she basically said, Ra, pull your head in. You can either be a part of this and be someone that's going to contribute, or you can sit over there and make the whole experience really negative. And to be honest with you, it was a big kick in the ass, and made me realize that I actually have to play a really big part in this.
Yep.
And if anything, I'm the Scottie Pippen to her Michael Jordan.
Good analogy.
I'm the John Stockton to her Karl Malone, so on and so on. So it's one of those things where I realize, wow, I can actually play a really big part in this, and support my wife to do one of the most difficult things on earth, which is give birth. So that was a really big eye-opener for me as a dad to be, and also just as a supportive partner, which I think is really, really important. Because if you think about it, guys have got it pretty easy, and the woman that you love is giving birth to your baby, the most you can do there is just really support them and do what you can there.
Get around it. Oh, mate.
Totally.
What a story. So you're in this class, like, what were you doing? Taking a piss or like...
Nah, look,
why did you get the kick? You glossed over that. What were you doing to get the kick in the butt?
Look, it was probably more my attitude when we were sitting down there and the incense was burning and wafting into my face. It was probably where I was a bit like, OMG, like, what is going on?
What is this?
And then I might have said a comment, but look, it was definitely
okay.
Definitely.
It was the non-verbals.
But it was the non-verbals, and then it was the direct Ra, stop being a wanker.
Yeah.
Get your head pulled in, so.
All right, and then so let's get to the juicy bit. So when did the water break, mate? Like, where were you? I don't actually know this story. Where were you when you knew that it was time?
So we were downstairs, and Jess is like, I think I'm going into birth. And of course, it was just before I was meant to go to work. So I'm like, oh, like, really? Is this like, you know, because you do have false starts. I'm like,
where were you working at the time?
I was working at a business that's in relation to real estate.
Oh yeah. So you had that job. So you're in the office. You're in the office culture still. So
yeah, still in the office culture. So
having to report to a boss and everything.
Yeah. Which they were all really good about, and they knew that it was shit was going to go down pretty soon. So we'd already had that conversation. So
were you dropping that at work just to get a little cheeky day off? Like, I reckon any day now, and then just milk a Monday or something?
Oh, look, no, probably just more for likes.
Probably want to get out of the house.
Just posting some pictures for some likes on the local work network, just for some cheeky love hearts, you know, here and there.
We've all chased love hearts.
We've all chased love hearts. So went into labour at home, and then there's a whole bunch of things that you need to do to make sure that you're not going to hospital too early and stuff. So we just follow that sort of process.
The contractions and
and one of those things was, obviously we're upstairs and at this point, and they're just happening every few seconds or every couple of minutes, and you're trying to, but it was going on. So like I was like, hey Jess, like, do you mind if I put the the YouTube on, like, just because, you know, we don't know if it's actually she's going to be birth or anything. She's like, yeah, that's okay. Like, you know, I'm fine. Okay.
You're kind of sitting around doing it.
Yeah. So I turned on, and then ESPN was on. So basically, there's a gentleman who works on ESPN. I can't remember him. I think it might be Stephen
Naismith?
Yes. No, he's the guy who invented basketball.
No. Naismith's a commentator on ESPN.
Okay, well, let's just pretend it's him.
People in the comments are driving, go, no, it's not, you idiot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he invented basketball.
Naismith did invent basketball, though. That is true. That is a true fact, yeah.
So anyway, basically, this gentleman was yelling very, very loud on the screen. So
the college basketball guy, is it the college one? It's a capital D, baby.
No, it's our main guy. It's the guy who he's on.
What does he look like?
He's a brother, and he's on with. He's on with. It's not. It's not.
Pardon the interruption.
No, it's not. Pardon the interruption. What is it?
Is it AJ?
Steve. I'm sure it's Stephen something.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith.
No, is he the guy that also goes for Philly?
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a shit podcast talking about that. But yeah, he was yelling. What was he? What?
Just yelling in the background. So basically, whenever Jess hears that gentleman yelling on the screen, it gives her slight goosebumps.
Post-traumatic
Just
stress.
Remembers when her husband was watching ESPN while she was going through the beginnings of labour.
Is that a sign that Tilly is going to be on ESPN one day?
Well, look, there's no pressure, but I'm just working on her left and right hand dribbling skills, and so she's getting prepped for whatever she decides.
So
to do.
all right, so then you're right. You go to the hospital, and how long was the ordeal like?
Yeah, the ordeal, Todd. No, it was an experience. It was a gift of a lifetime. No, so to be honest with you, there was a few complications, and the whole process ended up sort of developing and going on for about 50 hours.
Ooh.
So my wife, who had gone to these calming birth classes, basically was in our living room for about 36 to 40 hours without any drugs or anything to sort of numb the pain. And all she did was her breathing techniques and all this stuff that I thought was
Rubbish.
But to be really honest with you, I've never been more proud of my wife, but to see someone go through that for 36 hours and just dominate and be incredible. But we got to the stage where we called the hospital. They're like, wow, that's way too long. People don't normally last that long. So we went in there and then sort of had to take some emergency actions for things to work out, which we were really happy with because we had a plan and we went through the plan and we got to the stage where there was no return and we had to take one of the options. So I'm sure Jess won't mind, but we had a C-section, which is cesarean as well. So
through the sunroof.
Through the sunroof. And I had a big baby because my genes, I'm Māori by heritage. So we had a 10-pound baby. So if you know what that means, that is a big girl. So
it's like 5.5 kilo?
I think so. I don't even know what 4 times. Well, three. What did I say?
It's 9 times 3. No, 9 times 4.
I don't even know what 9 times 4 is, bro. So I'm going ski on that one. So that was really good.
And Jess, Jess is Jess is petite. Like so a 10-pound baby, that'd be tough.
It was. She did a very good job.
Honestly though, like knowing Jess and so forth, I think like it doesn't surprise me that she was able to cope that long. Like she's very tough and very fit. Like. And very, you've been tangled there.
I am, man. Sorry.
She's very tough, very fit. Like, she's an unbelievable woman. So should have the mindset and capacity. Like, she's put up with you for how long? So
wow, let's avoid all of that. But yes, you are right in all aspects. She's put up with me for a long time, but definitely a lot of mental strength there. So I have to say that it's probably one of the most proudest moments we've ever had. Just getting to having to decide on a C-section because she was just incredible through the whole process.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. One of the coolest things I've been watching, obviously, you develop and change over this period of time, obviously becoming a dad, was I think like there's like I've definitely met because I've only known you now for like 2 or 3 years, and there's definitely another side of you that's come out, a more nurturing, caring side. You've always been that nurturing, caring, but it's really come to the fore. Like I think that's your kind of main personality. It's been great to sit back and watch it.
Thanks, mate.
And one of the things that I loved is your Instagram page, the toddler and his baby. So if you have a look on Insta, it's at toddler and his baby. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen there for the guys on YouTube, but on Spotify you can jump on and have a look. Tell me what made you make the Instagram toddler and his baby?
Yep. Look, good question. I think the whole what I'm hoping is that we look back on this time that is crazy with social media in 10 to 15, 20 years, and we can look back on our memories as a bit of a history book and with things we've done and good and bad things. But this was really built for my daughter Tilly to have an understanding of who I am as a person as well, who she is as she grows up, things that we share together as well. And I think it's one of those things where there's lots of elements around social media that I don't like, and there's lots that I do like. So it's just trying to use it in a really positive way to show people the whole experience of your wife going through being pregnant, and also the experience of being able to share things that you both love. So, i.e., Tilly has taken on aspects of loving music that I love.
Yeah.
We like to dance together. She's very personable. She's just great. So all those sorts of things, it's great to be able to document it in a space where we can share it with friends as well.
Yeah. I did have that. I was going to ask that next about the music, because that's one cool thing. I'm a big fan of music, and music taste is quite eclectic, and so is yours.
Yeah.
And over the journey, you've shared with me some brilliant
Well, we
tracks.
like the same kind of music, right? I think we
very
definitely,
similar, yeah.
with
There's
generally,
overlaps.
we like it. Yeah, definitely.
But I loved what you've done with Tilly about music. Like I remember from like when Jess was pregnant, you were playing music.
Yep.
And yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. Like where did that come from, and like where is it at?
Yeah, great, Todd. Thanks for touching base on that as well, because I mean that's obviously quite a big part of my life, and I never played any instruments or anything, but from an early age, my mum was a musician, so I grew up in Canberra. It was pretty straighty 180. My mum was
God's country, Canberra, by the way.
God's country. My mum was a musician, so she was a singer in reggae bands and I think punk bands, world music, all kinds of stuff. And in those days, it was very rare to have a woman that looked as wild as she was in pubs and bars in Canberra singing. So I was surrounded and by music. So Bob Marley, anything Motown, I was just immersed in from a really young age, and my mum's record collection is next level. So with these bands, basically in Canberra, my mum's house was basically like this creative space where we'd have artists from the art school come down. We'd have musicians coming from all over Australia, and they'd spend time at my house. So whether they were playing music in the kitchen or Once Were Warriors style, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. No, I was never like that. But in terms of music being played, there's a great scene in Once Were Warriors, which is very, very much with what I grew up with, and also, whether it was people painting or everything to do with art was in this small house in Ainslie. So that was a really big influence on my life, and waking up with Triple J blaring in the mornings or Rage early in the mornings on Saturday and Sunday. I was always really immersed with music.
Yeah.
And my mum always used to say to me, "You've got great music taste. What music are you listening to?" So that gave me a lot of confidence in terms of what I was listening to and being like, sharing that with my mum as well. So that was something that she definitely gave me in terms of just being really passionate about listening to music. So I wanted to hand that on to my daughter. And
so what have you done? Like, how are you doing that? Like,
yeah, good question. So look, from like you mentioned before, so from day dot, we would have music playing on puku, which is Jess's puku, her stomach.
Yeah.
That's Māori for stomach. And as soon as she was born, whether it was drumming on a desk or whether it was singing to her, all of those sorts of things, playing a lot of music as well around the house, all those sorts of things, just to really, I guess, I don't really want to use the word influence, but it is.
No, it definitely is, yeah.
Yeah, and just also being able to connect with different types of music as well. So I think, and we have the Wiggles playing in our house, but it's also about...
How's that for your taste?
Oh, I'm a bit worried about stuffing up my Spotify countdown, because I think the Wiggles might be getting a bit too much of a decent play on there. But
that's when you got to get the family account.
Yes.
Make a dud email, and then
100%.
Then it would be interesting, because if Tilly gets the warped 2020, she can see what she was listening to back then, 10 years down the track, if
Very
Spotify's still around, she can still get her stats from back then. So
slowly,
maybe that's one to look into.
Exactly, slowly infiltrating on my top 100 tracks of 2020. So,
but what modern day tracks has Tilly taken to? Because you are sending videos out, you're playing songs and she's dancing, and you can see she finds the rhythm fantastically. Like, she knows exactly where it is.
Oh, look, I mean, there's so much different music that we listen to. So it can be anything from like African jazz to, stuff like Tom Messick, which is a jazz artist as well. We listen to a lot of jazzy sort of hip hop stuff as well. Cool. Lots of Anderson .Paak is massive in our house, so we're listening to lots of Anderson .Paak. So basically there's a real eclectic sort of different environment there, but it is really important for her to make sure that it's not just her listening to my music, that we do listen to the Wiggles, or any of those sorts of things, because that's something that she's going to be able to relate to with her peers as well, and she loves it. So that makes it can't be just what I want.
Yeah, you can't have her going to kindergarten and the Wiggles are on, and she's going nah, and then they can't work out what it is, and then you roll with some Anderson .Paak, and then she's all about it. She's all about it. That's awesome. And now she's 18 months. What are some of the changes you're starting to notice? Like, there must be changes every day.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. So it's probably the talking side of things, which is massive. So being able to ask for things, and for a long time she's been able to communicate, whether it is through pointing or, grunts or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But now she's actually been able to piece together words and so on as well. So, that's a really special moment, because now it's like every day she's picking up another word, and it just starts to steamroll, which is really exciting.
What was the first word?
To be honest with you, I reckon it was dada, but one that we know definitely was basketball, but she would say ball.
No way.
Literally. So I'm like, that's like 3 words in one, really.
Ball,
So she was up there, man. So
basketball's good. That's unbelievable.
ESPN, bro, I'm telling you, it's all about it. It's all about it.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
See, and that's another thing that I noticed you've done as well.
Stephen Aiken.
Stephen Aiken.
Stephen Aiken, yes. He was the commentator that was playing in the background while my wife was giving birth. So just to clarify.
Shout out Stephen Aiken.
Oh, he's the man.
We'll send him a DM, and then we'll see if he listens to it, and if he does, surely.
Yeah. And you owe my wife an apology as well.
Yeah, so. Stephen, keep your voice down. Stop yelling, mate.
Keep it down, mate.
He's definitely not going to listen, but it'd be good if he did. How are you going for that beer there? You want another one? You want to hit into this Biggie Juice?
I'm going pretty well on this. How do you pronounce that? Kaju beer?
Kaju Crush? Is it Kaju or is it?
Kaju. Oh, let's go Kaju. Let's go Kaju.
One of my mates, Grant, who recently become a dad, he loves the Kaju Crush, but he loves the blue one.
Oh, yes. It's got pineapple elements.
I'm not sure. Yeah, does it? I don't go much past VB.
Yeah.
I will be honest, I really enjoyed that one, though.
So is that, with the whole VB thing, is that like a counterculture, like I'm against any hipster sort of beers, or is it generally that you like the taste, or can I just throw it there, is it nostalgic for you? Where does that sort of lie?
I'm not going to lie. I've got a flag in all camps on that one. Some of the hipster beers are too big. I don't like the bigness in flavor. Yep. I'll be honest. Like some of the IPAs and stuff, for me, they're just not palatable. Like that lager beer that we had, a lager is a really easy beer to drink. And that blue lager that we had, we were drinking out of cups. That was going down like razor blades. I just did not enjoy that at all. Yep. But this Kaiju one, the green one, I actually enjoyed that. But then going back to your question, is it like a dig at hipster culture? Yeah, probably. But do you know what's funny? Now VB's becoming popular, like with the hipsters.
And Melbourne Bitter's been a hipster drink
for a
very
long time.
You're going to see a couple of dudes sitting in Fitzroy, Melbourne, around some milk crates, burning a fire in the middle of the car park, and they're going to be smashing Melbourne long necks.
Yeah, and
in a brown paper bag.
Much love to them,
Word.
And I don't know why microbreweries don't make more bitters because it's a bitter. Like they're starting to come around, but they don't, and it's a great flavor. So I like the flavor of VB, and it is nostalgic. I think it's our birthright as an Aussie to drink VB. And Hard Earned Earth needs a big cold beer. The best cold beer is Vic.
That rolled off the tongue.
I did. I've heard it a few times in my life.
Wow.
But one of my simple pleasures in life, 40-degree day.
Yep.
Right. And now I probably shouldn't admit this, but 40-degree day, stop into the old bottle-o. And generally, they got them on ice at the front of the counter.
Wow.
And you just go in and you just go, 2 stubs, mate. Thanks. In the glass. right? Off ice, just 2 subs. They're about $3-4 each, right? Bang, 2 road warriors, I like to call it.
Oh, Road Warriors.
Go down the road, little on the Monash. Just
Oh, wow. Hey.
how you going? Just a thing. Don't drink and drive, everybody. But
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
Tilly, if you're watching this 20 years from now, you better not do that. Otherwise, you are going to be in big trouble. So don't you listen to Uncle Todd about that.
I was telling you, it's heaven.
Naughty.
It's heaven. If anyone's done it, they know what I'm talking about. And I will be honest. I only do this when I'm a passenger. So I tell the driver to pull because I have a driver. I have a driver
Look, I'd probably suggest, Todd, that you would do that with the Uber driver regularly.
with the Uber driver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is that look, let's face it, right? This podcast is probably not going to be listened to by anyone, so I don't need a virtue signal to anyone, mate. No, but so VB, so yeah, it is flag in all camps.
Yeah.
The taste, this nostalgic value, and obviously a little bit of dig at the hipsters because this kind of stuff is, I don't know. But I got this for you because I just, got to be accommodating for the guests.
Oh, fantastic. So just remember, mate, my regular go-to these
Is
days
it now Audi Blonde?
Audi Blondes, low carb, $10 a 6-pack, $33 for 24. That is $19.95 prices, my friend.
I can see you starting to revise the budget for formula. Milk formula
That's
must be bloody
right.
expensive.
Well, I could get a pack of nappies and a carton of beers for less than $40, mate. I'm telling you, it's $19.95 prices.
Well, $40 is one round at the bar, to be honest. Maybe I should have a kid. Maybe my priorities for spending will be a bit better.
I think you'd make a good dad, Todd. Very
Oh,
good dad.
thank you. Moving along, one thing that I wanted to talk about with you as well was some cool things that you're doing with business. I remember you kind of got to this crossroad in terms of your career, and you're like, I'm going to have a kid. There's a few things. I'll let you talk about it, but you got to this crossroad.
Yep.
And you decided to then go back into business for yourself.
Yep.
Tell me what that crossroad was like. What were you feeling at that time?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for the question.
I'm going to open this, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah,
work away. Are you close? Or
I am very close. I'm very close.
Mate, don't let me stop you.
No, that's fine. So, I guess sort of to link this, so I guess there's a bit of a timeline there. So, I was a nanny in London and a manny in London for a number of years, and then from there we moved back to Australia. And I was looking at what was going to be my next sort of career move. I was pretty naughty at school. I knew that I liked communication and sort of trying to help people with different elements of their life. And I'd always, probably the only thing that I was half decent at school was sports. So I sort of combined those and decided to become a personal trainer, which I did for a number of years in Melbourne. And I was lucky enough to coach at some of Melbourne's best CrossFit gyms and personal training studios. So that was great. But there are elements of that industry that are quite difficult, and that would be, i.e., working for yourself, running a business, all of those sorts of things that can be a real challenge when, also, I guess the hours aren't very sociable as well. So it's not like a 9 to 5 where you can catch up with friends after work. It's when everyone is catching up with friends, you're in the gym.
Yep.
So I got to a stage where I'm like, hey, I want to, in Bugs Bunny ears, I want to be an adult job. So then moved into a new career where I was working in account management and looking at sales as a real focus for me. So I did that for about 4 to 5 years, and that was really interesting because that whole world is really based around psychology, as you would know.
Yep.
And I learned a lot about just communication. Although I've had confidence in a lot of areas, it was a real eye opener, and also really enjoyed the environment of meeting other people that were really, really similar to me as well, i.e. you.
Yeah.
So that was great. And then basically I was made redundant about a year and a half ago. And when that happened, I actually stood on the scales, and I was about 105 kilos. For me, that was heavier than I'd been before.
Yeah.
With the whole sales thing, it was whether I was kicking goals, I was feeling the stress from that, which was a knock on at home. And then even when I wasn't kicking goals, it was stressful at home. So basically, I guess I was probably living not my best life because, whether it was eating poorly or, having 6 beers on a Wednesday, it had a knock-on effect to who I was as a person. And I decided, you know what, it's not making me happy. So I'm going to take the leap and move back into fitness where my mind was a lot clearer. I enjoyed the contact with people and helping people. and I was a better person.
Yeah.
And that was really important for me with my daughter, because if anything, look, if I can be a good role model and she's proud of what I do, and I think by helping people reach their goals through fitness and health and well-being and all those sorts of things, then I think no matter what, she's going to be proud of me. So that was a really big driving force as well, that to try and be a role model for my daughter.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it is a tough one. Like, a lot of people gravitate towards sales because they're people. Like, they enjoy the company of people. And obviously selling is communication and education. You're educating your clients in order to make a decision to what you want to do. And like you said, it's also psychological. But I've definitely seen with a lot of people that have got into sales that it's a big burnout. And what a lot of people don't understand, and a lot of my tradie mates, and I'm sure you've had the same, they'll be like, mate, you guys don't do anything. You sit in an air-conditioned office, you're on the phone, blah, blah, blah. But that mental drain and actually sitting still all day it takes its toll. It's hard. Like, you get home at the end of the day and you're absolutely mentally drained. You don't want to talk to your partner. You don't want to give anything because you've had to be you all day. It sounds silly, but you've had to be the highest version of you all day and give the most of you.
Agree.
And then you get home and your partner's like, oh, how was your day? And you're like, it's like you're 16 again. Yeah, good.
Yeah, 100%.
and then they're like, oh, okay, what's up your ass? And you're like, yeah, nothing. I'm fine.
Yeah.
What's for dinner? Like, sit down, let's have dinner. And you just give nothing because you've had to give it all day in order to achieve sales or be there for your peers or supporting your peers. So it's generally a tough one. I feel your pain. I'm a bit disenfranchised with selling at the moment as well, to be honest, to be completely honest.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing for you, Todd, because I mean, that's been a big part of your background as well.
Yeah, well, it's same as you. Like, I wasn't that great at school. Intelligent, I thought, but I just mucked around, messed around. Played a lot of sport with the boys. I just love that boys lads culture,
and probably had the street smart element to growing up in the West.
Oh, come on, mate.
You did, man.
Shout out to the West, everyone in the West.
Oh, it's not that. It's that, bro. It's the West Side sign. He gave the old thumbs up. None of that around the West Side.
But look, like, I guess it's just good fun and whatever. But yeah, I definitely feel that, and that's so many people in sales are the same.
Yeah, well, I guess when you really think about it as well, is that the way that I guess there's a very competitive element to sales. So although what I developed over the years, and I would say that I got to a stage where I was good at what I was doing, because you always basically have to focus on what you can do better each day. But there are elements of being in a room full of people that are selling whatever it is, and then you know, whether it's you're like, oh, I'm here or I'm there, and you know, even you think about like top athletes, right? Top athletes have an off season where they switch off, and they eat ice cream and they do whatever they want to do, and then that's it. But when you're in sales, it's end of month, 12 months a year. So
end of the day, new day, new week. There's always a milestone, a finish line.
Which you know, when you think about it, I guess whatever kind of form of sales that you're in, there's elements that, like we're talking about, being you're basically a psychologist in some ways, and then you're doing mental athletics in a lot of ways. So it's one of those things where you are really just always at it and thinking about it, and then next month, so you're setting up the next month. So even like I mentioned, even when I was having a great month and top of the office, I'd still be thinking about next month, and you know, those sorts of things I personally found quite difficult.
And the instant gratification, it wears off like after a while, like and it's full of instant gratification. That phone call, that close, whatever it is, bang, 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 you're on a high, and then it has to come down at one point. And I guess so many salespeople burn out. I've seen it time and time again. But getting back to your business, so you felt this burnout, and then you've gone, you know what, I'm going back into personal training, but you've got a cool element or a cool take on personal training. I'll let you tell me about it. What have you started, mate?
Yeah, cool. So my business is set up at Coburg Lake Reserve. So it is, I'm going to use the word boot camp, but really it's outdoor training with a twist. So
let's call it outdoor training with a twist. Don't worry about the boot camp.
Or maybe with a twist of lime, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, so the whole focus around, I think, outdoor training has really, really diminished in the last few years. So yes, people still run, but everything these days is a really big focus about being indoors, staring at screens, being under fluorescent lights while you train. and really being disconnected from not just the outdoors, but also human contact and interaction with each other, which I think is a really, really big issue because as we all, and like I mentioned, I love social media, but there's elements that I find difficult, is that, are we thinking, or is this going to be in 10 years that having a conversation with somebody and looking them in the eyes is going to be something that is very, very rare? So for me, what I wanted to do was bring back the outdoors, which means wind, sun, hail, all of those sorts of elements mixed with people actually saying hello to each other and building a community around that as well.
Yeah.
And, interacting with each other. So building relationships around, I'm going to the park to train with Kono Fitness, which is the name of my business.
Yep.
But I'm also going to catch up with Joe Blow, who's my friend, or this person who lives in the local community. Those sorts of things, which I think there are a lot of gyms out there that try and build that community. And I'd say CrossFit is definitely one of those things that's really brought that back into the mainstream over the last few years. But it is also an area now where I think it's really, really important that people still have face-to-face contact. And social media plays a really big part in our business as well, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Like, that's how we attract people to our business. So I think it's really, really important. But to have 45 minutes outdoor training where you're actually communicating with people, looking people in the eyes while you train, is something that I think we're moving further and further away from. So I wanted to bring that back.
Bring it back. No, that's definitely, it's definitely important. And that team element as well. Like, I think team culture is brilliant. I know myself personally, I perform way better in a team than I do individually. And if I've got people around me.
Like Flip Cup, perhaps?
Yeah, well, that was,
Sorry,
it was individual. If we were working together, maybe.
Oh, okay. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
God. If you're listening on Spotify and iTunes, go to YouTube, watch the Flip Cup game. But yeah, definitely the team element to it, I think is great as well.
Yep.
And that personal experience, that wind, rain, and so forth. Look, we're creatures that were meant to be outside.
Totally. So. And I think, when you think about, I don't know, it's almost become a cliche of people talking about what they did as kids, and I'm sure our parents used to do the same thing. Oh, well, didn't sit at home and play video games. But even our generation, so, I was born in 84, but even my generation, we would still go outside and play basketball or run around and
we were
climb
almost
up trees.
the last.
Yeah.
We were the last, I reckon.
Yeah, and then, Sega Mega Drive came in. Hey, love that.
Yeah.
All of those sorts of areas, those video games came into play, which was fantastic. But I just feel like, like even seeing kids climb up trees or hearing kids playing outdoors, I actually, if I'm at home and I hear kids playing outdoors, I actually notice it.
Yeah.
And probably one of the first things that comes out, oh man, I wish they'd keep it down. But the truth of the matter
well,
is,
you're probably worried, like, where's their parents?
Yeah, but
when back in the day.
Totally. But when we were kids, man, like, you were just allowed to go nuts and run around and do all those sorts of things. So,
the internet, I got the internet at home at like 13, 14.
The old dial-up?
Yeah, the 56K. And then I got cable. We were one of the first in the area to get cable. I remember that. That was like big. Anyways, but yeah, so we're that last kid because the internet kind of came in our teens.
Yep.
And then, but I still remember wanting to go outside. There was nothing like batting, playing cricket with the fellas in the street, playing footy. And I grew up in a cool street where there was about 13 of us within 5 years of each other. So
great.
It was dope.
Yep.
It was dope. But yeah, you're right, 100%. But so tell me, Kono Fitness.
Yes.
What are some of the results you're seeing in people, and what are they enjoying? Like, what are some of the feedback like?
That's a really good question. So I guess sort of to touch base on that, the business is called Kono Fitness, based around Co, which stands for Coburg, and then No, which is North. So we sort of came about this name, and I don't think we invented it. I think it was being used before we decided to use it as a business name. But the whole idea is to take...
That's not what you told me, mate.
Well, let's go. I'll have to look. Someone who actually made it might be watching or listening to this. So one of those things where, we've all sort of moved further out. So we all used to live in Fitzroy and Collingwood and Northcote, and now we're all, having kids, and we have to keep moving further out and further out. So what I was hoping was that by lifting the name Kono Fitness, it might actually also help our real estate prices. So hopefully it gets gentrified and then our house is worth more money.
Oh, Coburg's on the way.
I think Coburg's there. Coburg North is still a little. It's still a little bit birdy.
You're 3 streets from Pentridge, mate. You're in Coburg. Come on, mate.
True.
You're in the old Kodak factory a while in that area there.
Yeah. The factory is no longer, but we're.
I've just shouted out to everyone where you live. Look. I get that. So what are people saying? Like, what's the feedback of the outdoor training? This alternate method at the moment.
Great question. So, look, we've been running for about 5 months now, and we still have all our original members that we've got. So, look, I do not know how and why this has happened, but I'm very, very, very lucky to have 15 to 20 people that are training with us now, and all really down to earth, great people. So I don't know if it's attracting people that are okay with being outdoors and training. I don't know if it's the area, but we've been able to maintain and build in that community. And I think one of the really important things there as well is that, we build a community based on actual interaction with each other. So when somebody comes and joins one of our sessions, it's an introduction to everyone. It's hey, whether it's me picking up that they've got similarities, I might bring it up, whatever it is, because it's not just about me being there. It's about those guys coming to train for each other, which from my experience in the fitness industry over the years, and a massive, massive push is basically 30-day challenge, get shredded in this time, 60-day challenge, get shredded in the time. It's exactly the same as we were talking about when you're working in sales and you have that instant gratification. It's exactly the same thing, right? So with the fitness industry, how it is, people will go and they'll sign up to a 30-day challenge. They'll deprive themselves of absolutely everything, something that's not sustainable. They'll lose themselves 5 kilos, whatever it is. And then basically they realize that this isn't sustainable. So what our philosophy around food and training is about building good habits. So that's about putting your shoes close to the door and having your exercise close to the door so that you can get up and you're going to train. It's about when you open up the fridge, instead of having, fried chicken from last night's KFC meal, you'll have cut up celery or whatever there, so that when you open the fridge, you snack on those sorts of things. So it's just about those small little changes and about making every day just a little bit better. Just
the 1% gains.
1% gains opposed. And I think, that's been a mentality that's been taken on by a lot of sports teams, but it's something that if you have an all or nothing mentality, basically what happens is that you go to deprivation and then you fall off the side of a cliff and then you don't return back to start that 30 days for another 3 or 4 months. Where if you're like, cool, well, you know what? I just had something that I wouldn't normally have. It's not the end of the world. And then you make a better nutrition decision, or you decide to go for a walk before you go to a social event. All those little things stack up. And that in the long run is more important than beating yourself up and feeling guilty about something and falling off the side.
100%. I can definitely, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. And the times that I've done any sort of weight loss or fitness, I'll do it and then I just fall off the wagon. And it's because of one small mistake or whatever. Yep. But that makes a lot of sense. So are you telling me that because it is that team mentality, people that then your attendance is probably greater because people are showing up for each other? Or
well, look, I think that's what we're trying to build. I think that it really depends on a number of different things as well. Like we are a part of someone's life, and we try and make things accessible and as easy as possible as we possibly can. But really, the end decision for somebody to come down to train is that person's motivation. Now, motivation can come from a whole bunch of different angles. Yeah. Motivation can be to come down and meet me. Motivation can be around they eat better when they train. It can be hang out with our community. But what we can do as a business, which is Kono Fitness, is that we can try and give that person as many positive options and lead-in habits to training with us as we possibly can. And that's a really big focus for us as well.
When does it run? Is it every day or is it?
Yeah, so we run morning classes from Monday to Friday. So we have 6 a.m. and 6:45, so 45-minute classes. Okay. And then in the evenings, we have 5:45 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday. Friday mornings, 6...
I'll post it. We'll post it in the...
6 a.m., 6:45, and then Saturday we've got classes at 8:15 at Coburg Lake Reserve as well.
Oh, beautiful. So tell me, what if it rains or whatever, what do you do? Do you find something else?
We've got a bit of coverage there as well. But look, we want people to come down with the mentality of
it might rain.
Let's just train. Let's just get it done. So
train in the rain. Just go for
train
it.
in the rain, Todd. I like it.
Make it
Probably
rain.
might scare a few people away, but the
Make
truth
it rain.
of the matter
Train
is
in the rain.
we do live in Melbourne. So, and then look, the other side of that is I also have an online nutrition business.
Okay.
Which again really feeds into the whole habit-based eating. So it's about making small incremental changes, not about being like, you have to eat this certain meal plan, because those things are great for 30 days, but if you can't sustain it, and you're going to feel, in brackets again, like a failure, and then you just start the merry-go-round around and round. We want to try and teach people to get better every single day and learn skills that they can use all the time. So that's what the nutrition programs are based around as well.
How can we find you if we want to jump on board?
Yeah, great question. So we're at konofitness.com.au. You can send us through a message also via Instagram at kono, _fitness.
Yep.
So you can DM us that way or DM us through our Facebook. Or DM us. Is that a thing? Anyway,
Slide in the DMs.
Slide in the DMs via Facebook as well, where you can find us in Kono.
Send photos as well to Ra.
Yes. Yes. Send me photos of you eating some kale. And I don't know, maybe something in that realm, perhaps, with your clothes on. Please.
But if people are going to start a fitness regime, surely they're not eating kale straight away. Like, send a photo of you eating a cheeseburger.
Oh, okay.
And then that can be your before shot.
Yeah.
And then once you've put them through their paces, that you can then get the shot at the kale.
Oh, okay. Maybe burger with kale hanging out the sides, perhaps. just that big wad of KALE.
Is that how you...
Kale.
Kale.
Pieced it together.
Love it. Ra, I'll tell you what, it's absolutely been a treat to have you on board today.
Thank you so much.
I've loved every minute of it, playing a game of Flip Cup, even though I lost. Yeah. Competitive Ra is my favourite Ra. I'm not going to lie to you. He's my favourite type of Ra. And having a few beers with you too, and just having a chat. Like one of the things that I'm loving the most about the podcast is sitting down across from someone and just having a chat.
Yeah.
Like we haven't touched our phones, like we haven't done anything like that.
Very true.
And this doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
And even like between mates, even if you're at a pub somewhere, there's screens on, there's sport on, whatever the case is, and you don't get to do that. And I will admit that I walk away from each of these podcasts feeling way more connected with the person, and just great chats. And it's one of the things that I want to emulate and continue to reproduce over and over again. So I've absolutely loved the chat, mate.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thanks for coming in. And mate, I guess end on a cheers. And
yeah, no worries. I might just jump in there one last thing there as well, Tony.
Hang on, what do we got?
Well, look, for Toddcast listeners, what we'll do is I'll share a link with you, and they can use the code word Toddcast. But if you are interested in some online nutrition coaching, I reckon I can throw out a 30% discount for those guys.
30% for Toddcast?
Yeah,
that's too much, mate.
You can go.
Can we make it 15%? Snip me 15%.
Well, I'm wondering why you're stepping on my foot underneath the table. But just like to do that as well. So that's just online coaching.
Yeah.
We take you through everything you need to know about.
All right. So if you're going to do that, let's do it properly. 30% off.
Yes.
Nutrition coaching.
Yep.
What do you get in the nutrition plan?
Yeah, great. So there's
hopefully they haven't switched off. I might edit the goodbyes and then we'll go back.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so 30% off nutrition planning. What do you get?
So basically it is a program that runs with a lesson every morning. So it could be 5-6 minutes worth of listening to some information that's around getting your head set for the day. And then from there, you're given a task of being able to complete a habit throughout the day. So like I talking about good habits. So you go through, you complete that. And then we work alongside each other. So it's not, here is a meal plan, just go and do it. Yeah. It's actually about building time for yourself. How do you prepare food? Okay. How do you do all those little bits
and this is all done online? Like, is it through an app
online?
or direct messaging? How does it work?
Yeah, great question. So we have an app that basically we'll get you set up with, and then you'll have lessons sent through to you daily as well. So what I love about this is basically means that I can be your nutrition coach, and I can sit in your top pocket, and all those things as a coach that are really hard to do in person, i.e. checking in to see how you're going, being able to give you live information and feedback on things that you're mentioning. Then I can also help with that as well. So
look,
that's all part of it.
Look, Ra, one of the things about being overweight is that I've probably tried every diet under the sun. I've tried every nutrition plan. I've done everything right. Some of the things I hate about them is like day one, have these kind of meals, have this, have that, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Day two, it's totally different to that. And it's not sustainable because you're buying like a whole day's worth of food on each day and no days overlap.
Yep.
Like, tell me, is it affordable? Like, once you get onto the, like, what are you telling people to eat? Or are they making their own choices? How's that based?
So I guess to delve into a little bit more, I'm a precision nutrition coach. So what that means is it's basically one of the most successful nutrition programs that's out there. And it is really against the grain of what everyone else is doing. So like I mentioned, it's habit-based. It's about getting yourself to be a little bit better every single day and make the right choices over a long period of time, not over a 30-day period, okay? So what that means is that you're educated on what a portion size looks like, why protein's really important for you to use, how to get more greens into your food.
So it's more nutrition education rather
that's a great
than
way to
just
put
like
it.
meal. So that instead of you
that's a
just
really
saying,
good way to
eat
put it.
this,
Yep.
you're then teaching and then you're going, all right, go away and do this. And then do you track your results on the app as well? Like,
so there's measurements that you can take through the app, which you'll have your coach support from your coach. Then also photos as well. So there's all that accountability, and I think that's one of the key things about it as well. Is two reasons. One, people need accountability, whether that's going to the gym and having a gym buddy, or whether it's photos, or just someone just to check in and go, how are you going? Because sometimes your brain's bouncing back and forth.
So 30% off, and how do we get it? Kono Fitness?
You go to Kono Fitness. So what I might do is I'll send you through a link, Todd.
Okay, put it in the
And
comments.
then from there, we'll give you also the discount code, but only for your listeners. Joe Rogan's got no chance of getting this discount.
So put in the code Toddcast,
Toddcast.
TODDCAST. That's TODDCAST, Toddcast. And Ra will hook you up with 30% discount and make you 30% skinnier.
Oh, yeah. Is that a guarantee? Look, let's just work on getting you to eat the right nutritious meals first, hey? Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Mate, Ra, it's been a pleasure. Again, thanks on the Toddcast. Knock it out with a cheers. It's been great.
Man.
We'll enjoy this beer off air, but thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, if you tune in, I've got a data scientist coming up in my next episode, which is going to be great. Wow. We're going to be talking about the generations, how that works, Generation Alpha. Who is Generation Alpha? We'll be talking about baby boomers. We'll be talking about a lot. If you haven't already, listen to episodes 1 and 2 of the Toddcast. They're absolutely fantastic. We speak to Hayden, who's also similar in personal training, and we speak to Diana, who is an academic coach. So some great episodes, and thank you. Like, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, please give me a 5-star rating. Only if you mean it. If you don't mean it, then don't rate it all. And then, but please subscribe, and don't forget to share it with your friends. And thanks again. Goodbye.